everyone, this is a tutorial on graphing piecewise functions on Lumen. The name piecewise comes from the fact that a function consists of a few pieces, usually two or more. Let's take a look at this function f of x. The first piece is a constant 5, the third piece is also a constant -1, and the middle piece is a linear function -2x plus 1. The inequalities that you see to the right are the domains for the pieces. For instance, let's take a look at the first one. X is less than or equal to -2. That means that x can be any number starting from -2 and going to -infinity. That means that if we will have to graph that piece, we will have to use a part of a line that has one endpoint and goes forever in the other direction. Let's take a look at all the tools available. The graphing tools are located below the coordinate system. The first tool is a line, the second one is a line segment, the third one is a ray, the fourth one is a closed circle, and the last one is an open circle. Now let's see how they work. First, a line. To graph a line, you can use any 2 points on the line. Please note that when we say a line in math, we mean a straight line, not a curve, and it goes forever in both directions. Next, a line segment. A line segment is a part of a line that has two endpoints, and in order to graph it, you must use the endpoints. Next tool is a ray. A ray is a part of a line that has one endpoint and goes forever in the other direction. You can use any point on the ray, but the second point must be the endpoint. Then we have a closed circle or a point, and an open circle that indicates an absence of a point. Now let's graph our function. Let's take a look at the first piece, f of x equals 5. f of x equals 5 is a constant function, which means all the y coordinates will be equal to 5, or in other words, the graph will be a horizontal line. The domain for that piece is x is less than or equal to -2. That means that x goes from -2 to -infinity, or we must use a ray tool in order to graph that piece. Make sure to click on the ray tool below the coordinate system, and you must use the endpoint. The endpoint will have coordinates -2, 5, so start graphing by clicking on that point, and then you may click on any other point to the left. Now let's graph the third piece, since it is also a constant function. f of x equals -1 if x is greater than 2. That means we will have to use a ray since x goes from 2 to infinity, and the endpoint will have coordinates 2, -1, so start graphing by clicking on that point, and then you may click on any point to the right of it. Now let's take a look at the middle piece. That will be a line segment since x values go from -2 to 2. In order to graph the line segment, you will have to substitute each endpoint into the expression. Let's start with -2. We'll get -2 times -2 plus 1. That will give us a 5. And if you substitute +2, we'll get -2 times +2 plus 1, which equals -4 plus 1, gives us -3. Now let's graph the middle piece. First of all, since it's a line segment, make sure to select the line segment tool. Then the first endpoint was -2, 5, or in other words, the middle piece will meet the left piece. And then the second point was 2, -3. Now, the last step will be to select what kind of circles we should use at our break. Note that the break occurs at x equals 2, and looking at the middle piece, we have x is less than or equal to 2. Just like on the number line, when we have x equals 2, we must use a closed circle. However, the third equation has the domain x is strictly greater than 2, which means we are going to use an open circle for 2, again just like on the number line. Let's put those circles on our graph. We have a closed circle at 2, -3, and an open circle at 2, -1. And finally, when you are ready to submit your graph, click on Submit below the problem, and this is the graph of our piecewise function.